Tom Cruise was not born into comfort or certainty, but into movement, instability, and quiet pressure. Raised in a modest Catholic family in Syracuse, New York, his childhood was marked by frequent relocations, financial strain, and a constant need to adapt. As the only son among 4 siblings, he often felt the weight of expectation without the tools to meet it. School was especially difficult after he was diagnosed with dyslexia, making reading and structure feel like daily battles. Yet within that struggle, something powerful began to form. Cruise learned early that discipline could replace confidence and persistence could overcome fear. Each move forced him to start over, sharpening his ability to observe, adapt, and perform. Theater became his refuge, a place where he could step into control instead of feeling subject to it. Long before Hollywood ever noticed him, he had already developed the core trait that would define his life: an unyielding refusal to surrender to circumstance. Chasing a dream without a safety net. When Tom Cruise arrived in New York in the early 1980s, he wasn't chasing fame as much as possibility. With little money and no guarantees, he took small roles, worked relentlessly, and studied the craft with uncommon intensity. His early film appearances in Endless Love and Taps revealed an actor who didn't simply perform, but committed fully, even in brief moments. Directors noticed his focus, his physical precision, and the seriousness with which he treated every opportunity. That dedication paid off quickly. In 1983, Risky Business introduced him to a wider audience, capturing both youthful confidence and nervous ambition in a single iconic performance. Fame arrived suddenly, but Cruise did not treat it casually. He understood how fragile success could be and worked to protect it through preparation and discipline. Unlike many rising stars, he avoided excess and distraction, choosing instead to refine his craft, as if every role might be his last chance. Becoming the face of a generation. With the release of Top Gun in 1986, Tom Cruise became more than an actor. He became a symbol. The film's success transformed him into the embodiment of confidence, speed, and American optimism, placing him firmly at the center of popular culture. While audiences embraced the image, Cruise himself remained careful not to be consumed by it. He understood the risk of being defined by a single archetype and actively sought roles that challenged expectations. Films like The Color of Money and Rain Man allowed him to share the screen with seasoned performers while proving his versatility. Yet the pressure of being constantly visible never eased. Fame brought opportunity, but also scrutiny. Cruise responded by tightening his control over his work, becoming increasingly selective and involved in creative decisions. What looked effortless on screen was, behind the scenes, the result of relentless focus and an almost private urgency to earn every ounce of respect. Proving depth beyond stardom. By the late 1980s, Tom Cruise faced a defining question. Could he be taken seriously as an actor, not just a star? Born on the 4th of July provided the answer. His portrayal of Ron Kovic required vulnerability, physical transformation, and emotional restraint unlike anything he had done before. Cruise immersed himself completely, studying Kovic's life and committing to the role with intensity that surprised even his critics. The performance earned him major awards, recognition, and marked a turning point in how the industry viewed him. No longer simply charismatic or athletic, he demonstrated depth, discipline, and courage in confronting difficult material. This phase of his career continued with films like A Few Good Men and The Firm, where he balanced commercial success with character-driven storytelling. Cruise was no longer chasing validation. He was shaping a career designed for longevity, built on preparation rather than instinct alone. Taking control of his own legacy, the launch of Mission Impossible in 1996 marked a fundamental shift. By producing the film himself, Tom Cruise stepped into a role few actors dared to occupy: architect of his own franchise. This decision allowed him unprecedented creative influence from casting to direction to marketing. The success of the film confirmed his instincts and laid the foundation for a long-running series defined by practical effects and real-world stunts. Cruise insisted on authenticity, believing audiences could feel the difference between simulation and reality. As the franchise evolved, so did his reputation as a performer willing to test physical and mental limits. These choices were not driven by spectacle alone, but by a philosophy that cinema should feel earned. Control, for Cruise, was not about dominance, it was about responsibility. If his name was on the screen, he wanted every frame to reflect intention, effort, and respect for the audience, the discipline behind the spectacle. What sets Tom Cruise apart is not simply what he does on screen, but how he prepares for it. Known for performing his own stunts, he approaches physical risk with meticulous planning rather than recklessness. Each feat, whether climbing skyscrapers or piloting aircraft, is the result of months of training and safety coordination. Colleagues often describe his work ethic as exacting but inspiring, noting that he holds himself to the highest standard before expecting it of others. Off-set, his life is marked by routine and restraint. He avoids excess, focuses on fitness, and treats filmmaking as both craft and commitment. This discipline has allowed him to maintain credibility in physically demanding roles well into his later years. For Cruise, excellence is not spontaneous, it is constructed. Every success is built deliberately, reinforcing his belief that longevity in Hollywood is earned through consistency, preparation, and respect for the process. Public life and private complexity. Tom Cruise's personal life has often been the subject of public fascination, sometimes overshadowing his professional achievements. Like many public figures, his relationships unfolded under intense scrutiny, making privacy difficult to preserve. Rather than speculate, what can be said with certainty is that he has always guarded his inner world carefully. Friends and collaborators describe him as loyal, focused, and generous, yet deeply private. Faith and personal belief have played a role in shaping his values, but Cruise has largely chosen to let his work speak louder than his personal explanations. Over time, he has become more reserved in interviews, limiting access rather than expanding it. This distance has fueled mystery, but also protected his ability to function within an unforgiving industry. The balance between public image and private identity is never easy, and Cruise has navigated it by narrowing his focus, placing craft, preparation, and responsibility above commentary or controversy. Endurance in a changing industry. Few actors have remained relevant across as many eras as Tom Cruise. As Hollywood shifted toward franchises, streaming platforms, and digital effects, he continued to champion theatrical releases and practical filmmaking. Top Gun. Maverick exemplified this philosophy, combining modern storytelling with traditional spectacle and emotional grounding. Its success reaffirmed his belief that audiences still value sincerity and effort. At a time when many stars faded quietly, Cruise doubled down, choosing projects that demanded more rather than less. His endurance is not accidental. It is the result of constant adaptation without abandoning core principles. Younger actors often cite him as a benchmark for professionalism, not because of fame, but because of preparation and accountability. Cruise understands that relevance is not maintained through visibility alone, but through trust. Trust that when his name appears, the experience will be worth the investment. The legacy of relentless belief. Tom Cruise's legacy cannot be reduced to box office numbers or iconic stunts, though both are extraordinary. His true impact lies in what he represents: belief in effort, belief in preparation, and belief that excellence still matters. In an industry driven by speed and shortcuts, he has built a career on patience and precision. He is not defined by reinvention, but by refinement, returning again and again to the same question of how far commitment can take a person. Cruise may remain an enigma, but his work leaves a clear message. Discipline can become freedom, consistency can defeat doubt, and belief, when sustained long enough, can turn persistence into legend. Long after the noise fades, what remains is a body of work shaped by intention, courage, and an unwavering respect for the art of cinema itself.